It's the Auburn Observer Podcast. Welcome, one and all. It's going to be a fun one. Got a lot to talk about. A lot of positive news for Auburn. Some of these podcasts recently have been, especially with what had gone on with basketball recently, that kind of been like, trying to get through a tough stretch for Auburn basketball. Complete opposite. We're here to talk about today, and then of course some really big news on the football front as well. So it was a super busy Saturday for Auburn in both football and men's basketball, which is what we talk about here on the Observer Podcast. Justin Ferguson here, joined by my co-pilot per usual, Dan Peck. Hello, Dan.
Ahoy, Justin. Great to see you as always. We're in the Wings 94.3 studio. Big shout out to our friends at Wings 94.3. Wings 94.3, your home for classic hits in the Auburn, Opelika area. Also, you can catch Auburn football, men's basketball, baseball, Tiger Talk, all of that on Wings 94.3. I mentioned classic hits. They got some Fleetwood Mac going right now, some David Bowie coming up, some Def Leppard. So you're not going to want to miss any of the great stuff they got going on Wings 94.3, and we really appreciate that they let us use the studio. As for your point, Justin, the last couple of episodes, it does feel like we've been talking folks away from the ledge, right? And I think this is an episode where, it's
just one game. I think the big thing is, like Stephen Pearl said it afterwards, like, can't get too high, just like you can't get too low after losses. They got to keep this up moving forward. But I mean, it was as good of a statement win as you could get, probably in the first third of the season ish, for Auburn basketball.
When you pass a big test in class, right, it doesn't mean that you're set for the semester.
Right.
Like, the work isn't over. But this was a pretty big test for Auburn. I think, considering how conference play had started, an underwhelming performance from Auburn on Saturday night would have been very concerning. Because you heard both coaches talk about this being something of a desperate team, right? And you heard both coaches.
And Calipari said that after the game, and I think some folks took it as a negative, but it wasn't that at all. It was that team played desperately, and we didn't. And Calipari goes on later in the press conference to say, we've played some teams that have been desperate against us, and we've been able to be desperate as well. And that just was not the case in this game, because Auburn won rather soundly. Auburn 95, Arkansas 73. This was a top 15 Arkansas team. It's an Arkansas team that was undefeated in SEC play. The only teams they had lost all season, Dan, were Michigan State, Duke, and Houston. They lost to those three teams, three of the top 12 teams in the country right now, by a combined 21 points. Auburn wins by 22. And this one, on top of that, it's a 9-2 run by Arkansas against the walk-ons to close the game. So, I mean, it could have been even worse. This was domination from a team that just needed a win, but to win this way was pretty significant for the Tigers, because I think it went out and proved, like, yes, this team is not SEC championship material. Like, this team is a new one. It's a reset from what we've seen, especially last season, but the last couple of seasons. But still, their best is really good, because Arkansas is a really good basketball team. And after the first few minutes of this game, Auburn just had absolutely no problem dispatching Arkansas and making sure they didn't have any sort of comeback, unlike what Texas A&M did a few days earlier. To beat this team by 22, to score 95, to hold Arkansas to 73 is massive. These are all things that, again, shows the best of this team could make a lot of noise in the SEC. It's about bringing out that best on a more consistent basis. But you saw it. You saw it Saturday night at Neville Arena.
Auburn spends the final 30 minutes up multiple possessions on Arkansas. They're up double digits for the entire second half.
They are up. I ran the numbers on this. They are up double digits for nearly 30 whole minutes in this game.
Okay.
And Arkansas only got within 20 for 45 seconds of the final 16 minutes of this game.
Yeah. Once Freeman hits the three late in the first half, it's not a single-digit game ever again. And it's just like what I would say is, and just like the class metaphor, like the work's not done this season for Auburn. There's a lot of SEC basketball left, but this was a gut check.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was a gut check moment. And if Arkansas had championship medal right now, this is maybe a game that you go in and you snuff a team's season out. You go in there and you say, we're going to be the better team tonight. And because, I think maybe like a Final Four team from last year or one of those SEC championship teams from last year. This last night is an opportunity to go take a team that's on the ropes and deliver the coup de grace, right? And deliver that final touch. I think for Arkansas, they're probably not there yet, as evidenced by the way they played last night. And for Auburn, if that's a game where if you have a fastball, like if you've got one left, if you've got an out pitch, you got to throw it because you need you do not want to be going on the road and answering another you don't want to be dealing with that, and they avoided it by playing some of their best basketball this season.
Yeah, Pearl said after the game, Stephen Pearl said, you had to have this win. You couldn't fall 0-3 in the conference. You talk about an uphill climb. I mean, Arkansas did it last year from 0-5, but it's a different conference, a different team, obviously. This was one Auburn had to have, and the odds weren't great. I'll be honest. I tweeted this. I was surprised Auburn was favored in this game. I think Arkansas opened as a close favorite. It swung to Auburn on Saturday.
It was around 2, pretty much.
I thought that was kind of generous to Auburn, but shows what I know. Shows why Vegas is Vegas, man. Like the Auburn had this game pretty much under control. Past the first handful of minutes. By the second media timeout, it was Auburn was leading, and then they were about to take the game by the throat.
And you travel, you go to the road games. Like I think Auburn being favored and what you actually saw on the floor is also a testament to playing at home. In conference play, and for Arkansas, not to make any excuses because that was I don't think anyone's making excuses right now for what happened with Arkansas last night. They're saying it wasn't.
They got whooped.
Yeah, they got whooped, and it wasn't enough seemingly from the opening tip. What they had. That's an Arkansas team playing its second game on the road in a row, and coaches will tell you
it's tough.
Once you spend night number 4 in a row, night number 5 in a row in a hotel bed rather than your own. Yeah, it's tough.
I don't know if Arkansas went back home. They probably went back home,
and maybe they did, but still, it's a grueling week to it's like they had. There were a couple of reasons why maybe Arkansas is not going to be at their best, and for Auburn, it's like you need to take advantage of that opportunity, and you need to this is one that you especially and it would have been true to an extent. First Saturday home game with the students back in town. In conference play.
Yeah, great atmosphere for Neville. It's the first one you really got all year.
It would have
NC State was a pretty good one, but this was different.
It would have been a big opportunity, regardless of how Georgia and A&M played out. But the fact that you lost both of those games and lost them in heartbreaking fashion, it amplified what you needed Saturday night, and you delivered.
What do you make of, or what do you think about Auburn's, both from Stephen Pearl and the players after the game, saying they looked at each other this week and said, we got to win it for the fans. I find that really interesting because it would be very easy to be like, all right, let's tune out the fans. Not to say like you're not appreciative of them, but like to be like, there were fans panicking this week. And like you said, the job's not finished. They still got a long way to go this season. This is just one game. But like there were people offline and online questioning, does Stephen Pearl have it? Does this team have it? What is this roster? Are they going to make the tournament? Is this going to be a losing season? Like there were plenty.
How about this question? Are they going to quit?
Yeah,
that to me was the question that people were asking.
And there's a ton of doubt. Yeah. And while I think this Auburn basketball program deserves some benefit of the doubt and some patience for what they've built up in recent seasons, there were plenty of reasons to go into this game being like, let's see, because I was feeling the same way about this team, just because of the way the matchup was. But the fact that, like, not only did they say, okay, not tune out the fans, but, like, let's go win it for these guys, Let's go win it for a fan base that got their hearts ripped out on Tuesday night and booed and got – and the last few days had been very much I don't know, like either ranging from, this is disappointing to freak out and panic, slam the panic button. They came in and said, it's going to be another sellout crowd. It's going to be a huge home game. It's going to be our first big Saturday game of the season. Let's go win it for them. And this team played, we've talked about it over the years. This team plays off of the crowd. This program plays off the crowd. Most of these guys are brand new to it. Most of these guys, this is the first time they got a true Neville Arena experience, right, in this game. And they fed off of it. And won. And I thought that was really, really interesting. That's an interesting angle to take for a team after a game when it could have easily been like, hey, if they'd have came out and said, look, we know we've got doubters, we know got people who are questioning us and critiquing us, we wanted to go out there and prove them wrong. It was no, we want to give back to that fan base. I thought that was really, really is a very interesting way to go about it and a very good way to go about it.
But you saw the celebration when they thought the Murphy shot was good against A&M,
sure,
right?
Yeah,
like there's still that incredible bond. And yeah, I mean, I think that it makes, first thing Stephen wanted to talk about, even after getting his heart broken against A&M, right, and thinking he had a game won, thinking his team had fought back in fairly miraculous fashion at the end of that game, like the first thing Stephen wanted to talk about was the crowd at Neville.
And he does that all the time. Because here's the thing. Here's why he does that all the time. There are better teams in the SEC right now that are not getting anywhere near the support Auburn is getting at home. And I don't care about arena sizes, and I don't care. It's about the support that this team gets, and they feel and they feed off of it. Right?
Is it about atmosphere? Like, do you want to say
it's that atmosphere, and they lean on it. And you see in this game, part of what makes Neville really fun is when they smell blood in the water, it gets tough for the other team to control themselves, right? Because it just snowballs. Auburn had a run. Auburn had runs of 8-0, 11-0, and 9-0, all different ones in the first half. So that's 28 points combined where you only had 3 answers the whole time there from Arkansas. 3 buckets were the only difference in those. Arkansas never had a run longer than 5-0. And go back and watch in that first half. Auburn hitting a couple of buckets in a row, and Calipari, boom, timeout. Got to calm him down, got to settle him down. And sometimes it worked. Most of the time it didn't. Because Auburn just went right back to it. And I thought that was vintage Auburn basketball. This team is different than the ones we've seen the last few years. Obviously, the way they have to play defense. Obviously, their size, the experience, the continuity. All the things that have been negatives for this team this season. But their positives are so strong that I think when you lean into them like they do and try to mask your weaknesses as much as they did in this game, we said it heading into this game. Arkansas might have the best roster in the league. They might not be the best team in the league. They got the best roster. And heading into the Saturday, they were an early contender. There's only a couple of teams. There's 2 teams that are in the SEC that are undefeated right now after 3 games in the conference. That's 2, Vanderbilt and Texas A&M, right? Brand new team and Vanderbilt. Yeah. And Vanderbilt's been awesome this season, but like Arkansas, if Arkansas goes and beats Auburn Saturday, you're starting to think of them and look at them and say, that's an early title favorite.
Yes, yeah.
In the league, like the way they'd been
that would have
playing.
been a championship level win. I think I know Auburn's 0-2, but I think to go and finish off a team that's 0-2.
Because like Auburn's 0-2 was different than other teams 0-2. Mm-hmm. I think that was very obvious.
Yes.
But either way, this Auburn team shows that their best can beat some of the best on their schedule. Like Arkansas, they've now beaten Arkansas, St. John's, and NC State this season. St. John's is a quad 1 game. NC State and Arkansas are as close to quad 1 wins as you can get, 31-32 right now. If Arkansas and NC State are just a little bit better between now and the end of the season, those are quad 1 wins. So it's like those are 3 really quality wins. Yes, the 3 losses Auburn had in non-con play were blowouts. They got their doors blown off of them by really, really good basketball teams. They had 2 heartbreakers on top of that. But this team still got pretty good quality wins. We'll see what it looks like the rest of the way. But like, if this is their best, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Their best. if they play like that, and it's hard to do that consistently over a stretch of 18 games, but their best is capable of looking at anybody in any situation in the SEC this season, any game they've got, come in and say, we've got a shot. We've got a chance. Like, that is their ceiling. It's hard to stay at your ceiling, but you know you have that in the bag. And, like, that's going to be very, very important for this team moving forward, because a non-insignificant amount of people had kind of started to leave these guys for dead.
And it's probably it's probably something that we've suspected. I mean, the team beat St. John's right back in Vegas, so it's like you thought, okay, this is a team capable of reaching back and finding that, but no, it had been a while.
It's like everybody and like St. John's and NC State have taken some tough losses recently, but they've also picked up some pretty good wins as well. I think both those teams are still going to be NCAA tournament teams. I think those two teams and Auburn are going to be, teams fighting to stay on the positive side of the bubble this season, but they're really good basketball teams.
And a big reason why I was reluctant to dismiss Auburn as a contender in the SEC this year, it's just, I mean, I think it feels like it's a pretty big tent as far as contenders in the SEC, and it still seems like as much there's a lot is different from last year's Auburn team to this year's Auburn team, but what feels the same is no one in this league can look at Neville Arena and think, oh, it'll be easy for us tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you dreaded the trip to Neville Arena the last couple of seasons. It's really been the case since they changed the name, right? I mean, you can go
even
back
before
to
that.
Yeah, and even before that, Bruce had started winning. I mean, I guess you go back to January of 18 when the flip,
and how about this? I said heading into this game, I wrote about it, said it on the podcast, I felt like this game for Auburn was going to be, if it was a win for Auburn, it was probably going to end up being like some of those Bruce Pearl over John Calipari Kentucky wins at home that we saw pre-Jabari Walker SEC title year, right? So before 2021. There were a few of those, a couple of those, and there was another really, really close loss. It was like the Tyler Hero game where he seals it at the line. I said Arkansas's got more talent, and they do. They're loaded with it. Auburn, their best chance of winning this game is you have to out hustle and outwork and out execute that kind of talent. What happened in this game? They did that. They did that in every phase, and that's how you get from, okay, maybe it's an even matchup on paper to a comfortable, to a comfortable win. I think Auburn would have taken a win, obviously, by any means necessary on Saturday. It wasn't just that they won. They won. Like, they capital WON won. Like, this was a domination in a lot of different ways.
It's hard to find spots on the stat sheet that Arkansas won. Like, I don't know if I see one. It's something of a wipeout. Like,
I don't see one. I really don't. I see two, and they're borderline, right? Okay, I see two. I can erase one of them rather quickly, and the other one's just kind of whatever. It's never been that big of a deal. Arkansas had 35 bench points to Auburn's 25 bench points. Auburn won by 22. Okay, but okay, they got a little bit more production off their bench. Malik Thomas is coming off the bench for him. He was a number 12 player in the country, 5-star guard. And then Arkansas had 3 blocks and Auburn had 2 blocks. Well, I know which team's rim protection was a whole lot better in this game.
Yeah. I mean, we'll check. And then
blocks are cool. Blocks are cool. Do you know what's better?
Points in the paint.
Yeah. Because that 48-28 is wow.
I think it was like 30. I think it was like 30-6 or 30-8 in the first half.
Yeah,
like Auburn absolutely.
There's a stretch in the first half where Auburn's in rebounding. It's like 14-4 or 14-3 or something like that.
I don't know if this. I mean, this thing's been pretty free flowing as far as like if you want to do 4.
Oh, I was gonna say let's do a 4 because we haven't done one in a while.
Sure,
we haven't done one. In a while.
I think, and there's multiple places you could start.
You go give me a lead off.
How about this? Like, you look at the season Keyshawn Hall's having, and especially the way he's. I mean, you go And look, it's tough to win Player of the Week without 2 wins in the SEC. I wonder who in the SEC had a better week statistically than Keyshawn Hall.
Unless there's somebody at Vandy that I don't know, unless there's somebody at Vandy that I'm just missing.
And so when a guy deserves SEC Player of the Week and Auburn wins on Saturday, I think, the recap show probably he gets to bat leadoff for the for the Observer 4.
32 points for Keyshawn Hall. This was a phenomenal game for him, but not just the fact. I mean, let's start with the offense. 32. It's back-to-back 32-point games for him. He's the first Auburn Tiger to have back-to-back 30-point games since Wesley Person in 1994.
Bananas, yeah.
It's crazy stuff there. But it was also the fact that he only missed 3 shots. He had 32 points and he missed 3 shots.
Attempted 5 threes.
And hit 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
He is shooting the same from 2 as he is from 3 in SEC play right now. And he's averaging 28 points a game in SEC play. It's only 3 games. But there was not a soul in red that could guard Keyshawn Hall on Saturday. And Auburn figured that out about minute number 2 of the game. Because he hits a really good corner 3 to open the game. That's a great Sebastian Williams-Adams possession where he's controlling the ball up top like a point forward. And he draws some attention, gets some gravity, and is able to kick it to Hall in the corner. But Keyshawn Hall is an incredible scorer because, Dan, I don't really know what part of his game. Look, if he's shooting this efficiently from deep, and 57% is insane, like in SEC play, but like overall for the season, he's at 45%. He's at 45% from deep on about just a little over 4 attempts a game this season. About 4.5. If he's hitting like that from deep, right? Where is the weakness in his game as a scorer? Where's an area where he's like he doesn't do that? I'll give you one, or I would have said one coming in, and he kind of erased that because I think he dunks like 2 or 3 times in this game. And I would think, well, he doesn't play above the rim. He's not the most athletic dude in the world. But I mean, he got downhill and threw the hammer down a couple times on Arkansas. Like incredible game for him. All around super gifted scorer.
Okay. A crazy, and again, we are pro build the statue of Janai Broome. His career remarkable.
Most successful basketball player in Auburn history.
Would you like to guess? Would you like to guess how many times in 3 seasons at Auburn? Would you like to guess how many 30-plus point SEC games Janai Broome had?
1
in 3 seasons at Auburn? It was 2.
2. Okay.
They were both last year, Georgia and Alabama.
Wow.
Last season, the final game at the final.
I would have thought he had that at Ole Miss one of those games.
He had 30. I want to get the. He had 34 in the loss to Alabama in the regular season finale, the overtime.
That was
loss.
an overtime game,
and he had 31.
Oh yeah, that's when he killed Georgia.
31 a couple of weeks early against UGA, and that's as far, unless you can check my math real quick. But that's the list, and it's like, and Keyshawn Hall had 2 30-point games this week, and he was he is just when it's working. I don't know, like we talked about the matchup problem he can present just with his scoring, like the thought that's like you have to be strong enough, you have to be fast enough. You have to be skilled enough not to foul him, and you have to do all of that over and over and over again. And by the way, he's comfortable creating for his teammates. He's an excellent passer. He's got the ability to, if he decides he doesn't like the look, he can say, "All right, well let's eject. Let's just throw it out to somebody," or he might be setting all that stuff he's doing that he's doing to get his shot ready. He might be doing that to set up a teammate. Yeah. So it's just when it's working, it can seem efforted at times when he's struggling. Right.
Yeah. And when Auburn's not working on offense, for sure. Our friend Henry Patton pointing out, and I thought this was a really good point. It's like when he gets a little bit better at handling double teams, Auburn's offense has lethal potential. And look, they're top 10 in the country right now. Through 3 SEC games. Here we go.
See, before you give the stat, though.
Just real quick. Through 3 SEC games, Auburn's offensive efficiency on KenPom is 124.6. And you're like, that's just a number. What does that mean to me? Well, it means this. 124.6 through three SEC games, and that's 2 losses included. That is 4.7 points better than the next closest team on the list, which is Vandy. Okay? The gap between Auburn and Vandy at 1 and 2, Dan, is bigger than the gap between Vandy and Texas A&M at number 8. Okay, so you've got an offense that's going nuts right now.
You said before,
Keyshawn Hall being a key cog in that machine.
A top 15 offense in a lot of the stats we were saying before the Arkansas game.
Yep.
I mean, yes,
now they're top 10.
Don't get lost in 0-2 in conference and forget a lot of what this team can do, especially when it's working. As for
95, 88, 104, 106 in their last 4 games.
As for the ball knower, as for Henry, I think he's absolutely right. But I would add to that it's kind of like a scramble drill in football. Yes, Keyshawn Hall needs to know what to do with the double team. His teammates need to also figure out the best places.
They did a really good job of that in this game.
Yep.
Because then you look at overall, Auburn has 20 assists and 10 turnovers in this game. 2-1 assist to turnover ratio. And so yes, the scoring is phenomenal. He got to do this against a team where Arkansas is not very defensively gifted. They don't force a lot of turnovers. They don't have a ton of ball pressure. They can kind of get spread out and kind of get one-on-one-y. That's the dude, because then they'll collapse and they'll sink, and they're not great in one-on-one defending, kind of like how Auburn's been for times this year. And it just leaves those kick-out opportunities wide open. The scoring's been what it is. But to go off of that with Keyshawn Hall, if I'd tack something onto your point, it's not just that. It's the fact that Keyshawn Hall had one of his best games on defense all season. And look, at times this season, his defense has not been great. And it has been a negative out there for Auburn. It's a positive in this game. Because you go back and look, guys were driving to the basket. The wings, the bigs that Arkansas has, the pure talent they've got on display. How many times does Keyshawn Hall bump a guy at the rim? How many times does Keyshawn Hall get vertical and not draw fouls, or not have fouls called on him? Right? He does it a lot, and I think over the last couple of weeks, I think you've seen Auburn's defense, especially this past week, you've seen Auburn's defense start to step up a little bit more. It's still got a long way to go. They started to step up,
and there was a 10-minute stretch where A&M scored 40 points.
But why did A&M score 40 points?
They were creating turnovers,
and they were hitting wide open looks,
and they were getting
right. In the half court defense, they had gotten a lot better. You see that in this game. What happens when Auburn limits its turnovers, doesn't let Arkansas get out and run, and say, okay, you got to come meet us in the half court? Okay, well, Auburn's got a little something to them in defense in the half court. To have Stephen Pearl in classic Stephen Pearl fashion after the game say, I was more proud of his defense. Dude scored 32 and he only missed 3 shots, and he's more proud of his defense. But that's the thing. Kind of like Auburn as a whole, their offense is elite. The scoring can come. Can the defense be there? I think in this case, the defense and the playmaking. Because the other point is he has 5 assists. Tahaad Pettiford had 7. So when your top 2 scorers, your top 2 players have 12 assists, Arkansas as a team had 9. Like when your 2 best scorers, when the guys you want to put the ball in the basket, and I know Tahaad didn't hit a ton of shots in this game. That's the thing. Auburn still looks good, though, on offense because he's more of a facilitator in this one. And if Keyshawn Hall can facilitate off of all the attention he's going to drag, because, I mean, what is it? He subs out. He plays the first 11 minutes of this game. He subs out, and he already has like 13 points and 4 assists, like already, just boom off the bat.
And what's important about
that just takes this offense to a whole nother level. If the team to a whole nother level, when that guy is not only scoring, he's assisting and defending at the way he's capable of playing.
What's important about, defensively, it's vital for Keyshawn Hall and Tahaad Pettiford to hold their own. We've been saying this because it's not as though Auburn has an alternative, a future where it's like, no, we're not going to play you because you're a defensive liability, and these other we have 5 other guys that are like, no, they Keyshawn Hall and Tahaad have to be, they have to do enough defensively to to stay out there and to keep Auburn in the fight. And they did more than that on Saturday. And as far as facilitation goes, I think for both of those players, like you can't do all the scoring yourself and then it's like a classic like Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan thing where it's like you can't do all the scoring yourself in the first 3.5 quarters and then want to get your teammates involved at the end because you're being double teamed and the possessions are more important. Like
they got to be plugged in early.
They got to be plugged in early. They got to be engaged. They got to be engaged early on. And the best versions of Auburn we've seen this year, I think, have involved Keyshawn Hall and Tahaad Pettiford involving the other guys offensively with the understanding that they can get a shot off on any half court possession. Like those two guys are can get a look and usually a pretty good one. It's about making sure that because in a close game, in a tight game, they're going to get extra attention and they could be fatigued because they're playing a lot, and you want all the other guys to feel like they are also in the groove offensively. And I think Auburn did a really good job of early on.
It's just really good team basketball.
Yep.
It's really good. And it's simple. It's very simple, but let's cut to the chase here. Right now, this season, Keyshawn Hall is Auburn's best player, right? And I think Tahaad Pettiford's super valuable, and this team has balance and all that. But right now, Keyshawn Hall is their best player, right? When your best player is a more complete player, your team is a more complete team. If it's not just he's going out and getting buckets, because his bucket-getting ability alone is fantastic. But when Keyshawn Hall is defending like this and playmaking like this, Auburn's really dangerous because they're not as simple to defend and as simple to play against. All right, my number 2 point. The defense in this game for Auburn, just in general. We talked about Hall, but the defense in this game for Auburn is remarkable.
It was not easy at any point for Arkansas. They had to work. They had to work forever. They were.
I mean, go back to the fact that
they were under pressure the entire night.
Go back to the fact that Darius Acuff, who so good. I mean, this dude is really good.
He said he was probably the best player in the league so far this season, going into that game on in the preview episode.
Darius Acuff hits a couple of threes in quick succession in the first few minutes of this game. And it felt like, oh boy, here he comes. And that's about it. Those are the only 2 threes he hits all game. 2 for 6 from deep. 7 of 16 overall. Had 3 turnovers and just 1 assist as the team's leading point guard. Had 35 minutes. How about this? He was minus 30.
Ooh.
And it's a testament to what Auburn was able to do against him. They really made sure he wasn't getting what everyone's, because he's a great pull-up jump shooter. He's a great, go out and get it kind of guy. He's a really strong catch and shoot weapon like a lot of those dudes are for Arkansas this year. But for Auburn, they really came into this game with a clear agenda on defense, which was get the heck back, because Arkansas will run and run and run. Auburn cut Arkansas's transition points in about in half. Their average, the average transit. Like, go back. We talked about this.
Make Arkansas prove themselves as a half-court offense.
Yeah.
Make them show you that they can do the things. They can run plays and beat you that way.
And I may have said this.
They'll win a race.
I may have said this in the pregame, or I may have said this in one of the games recently. But let's go back. If you watch the highlights from this game, or you go back and rewatch this game, watch how many times Auburn hits a shot or puts a shot up, and you see Stephen Pearl frantically telling people to get back. Just frantically doing it. That was such a key. There was, I'll tell you this, and I don't think I'm speaking too out of turn here with this, because I'm at practice all the time. I don't report what happens at practice, but I will tell you this. I will say this. It was very obvious in practice this week. A key emphasis for Auburn was we've got to do more to get back on defense. Auburn does not crash the glass with as many bodies and numbers as hard as they usually do, and they still win the rebounding battle handily that way. But watch Auburn's concerted effort to get back in this game. And when they do, and just say, hey, Arkansas, you got to come get us. Right? And it was one-on-one. It was building a wall. Arkansas's got some really good three-point shooters, Dan, but they don't want to take a ton of threes. right? Like, this is
that felt like there was a very serious adjustment at the 3-point line too, where it's like Arkansas. I mean, they were letting it fly in the first half, even contested,
and they don't want that.
They don't want
that.
They were having to shoot contested threes.
Because if I have a team with so much length and athleticism, like Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, all those wings, Billy Richmond, I know Carter Knox goes out early with an injury, DJ Wagner, all the bigs they've got down low with experience, that 8-man rotation, you want to get to the rim. Because it's like, if you're John Calipari, you're like, I got all these 5-stars and these athletic freaks of nature, man. I don't want to turn. Anybody can get into a 3-point shooting contest, right? Like, I'm not being mean when I say this because I love mid-major basketball and I love small conference basketball. There's a reason why, like, the Big South and the SoCon have all those teams that take a 3 every possession. It's because you don't have the athletes to go attack the rim over and over and over again, especially if you're in an underdog scenario.
A limited number of super skilled, super athletic, 6'10" or taller type of guys walking the earth.
Look. I love Steph Curry. Favorite basketball player ever. You know, Steph Curry played at Davidson, right? And Steph Curry is the greatest shooter to ever live, and he does so much stuff, and he's a great athlete in his own right. But there are more guys who look like Steph Curry playing in those things than there are playing at a place like Arkansas, where Arkansas is, we got a bunch of dudes who look like they're going to be playing in the NBA for forever. And Steph Curry and guys like him are the outlier, right? But anyway, anybody can get into a 3-point shooting contest. Arkansas wants to be, we've got all this size and length and athleticism. Let's put dudes in the rim.
Well, and they believe they can beat you off the dribble, right?
Yes.
There's the thought that, like, this is a team.
And most of the time they can. Like, it's a very athletic team. Auburn did a really good job of guarding their yard. One-on-one, you're not getting past me. And if you do get past me, you get a step on me, I'm going to do a good job of making sure it doesn't come easy for you. Calipari said something after the game I thought was really I asked him about if there was anything Auburn did defensively that surprised you, or is anything different. And he said, look, every time we got downhill, nothing was easy. It was rough in there. It's like, you're not getting a clear lane unless you were driving against Arkansas. Like, and that's a good point. Like, I thought Auburn did a really good job. We talked about it with Keyshawn Hall, but others. Dan, there are several possessions in the second half where you see a guard having to defend a guy bigger than him on a drive to the basket or something down low, and Auburn gets a stop. And it's just, we talked about it. Have some guts. Have some guts about you. Have some pride, and say, this dude's not beating me over and over again. If he hits a step back 3, or if he hits a contested jumper or all that, or if he has a tough finish in traffic, hey, tip your cap. This dude's going to be playing in the NBA one day. Someday soon. All right, you got it. It can't be this guy looks at me and sees barbecue chicken over and over and over again. And I think Auburn did a really, really good job of doing that. When they needed help, they did a good job of staying vertical. The fouls, I'll say this: the referees did a really good job of letting guys get bumped in this game. This is how a game should be officiated in the SEC. These dudes are great athletes. Let them bump. Let them run. If it's getting knocked way off the ball, or if you're not getting the yes, if it's affecting the shot, that's one thing. But if it's physical defense, this basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport.
And figuring out,
basketball is a tough sport for tough people, and you need to be able to officiate that way. And I thought Auburn was just tougher. They were just so much tougher. And on top of that, another thing Calipari said, Auburn won every 50-50 ball.
Yeah.
And he said to that point, there were 80-20 balls for Arkansas that Auburn was winning. And he also said, who's the big white kid that was throwing us around? Yeah. It's Philip Jovich. It's like, how about Jovich, man?
Yeah.
Dude was on crutches. Dude was on crutches on Wednesday, 7-4 in 12 minutes. He was like, he was plus 13 in 12 minutes. Like, but he kind of personified this for Auburn. They were going to get the loose balls. They were going to get stops. They were going to win the rebounding game. And then it's just, they're just going to make life tough on you.
Well, we wondered about, like, because there have been some Calipari teams in the past where the top tier scorers are as good as anyone's, but do they have the dirty work? You have the rebounders. Do you have the guys that are going to get physical? Do you have the guys that are going to go get bruised under the basket when it turns into a scrum? How about that? Just my third point.
Go for it.
Is rebounding. Because
this team can rebound.
How about this? Here's a fun question for you, Justin. Arkansas missed 19 shots in the first half of that game last night. They went 11 of 30 from the field in the first half. Would you like to guess how many of those 19 misses they successfully rebounded themselves? How many offensive rebounds on 19 misses? How many offensive rebounds did Arkansas have in the first half?
Okay, so they only had 8 all game, and they got absolutely whooped on the boards at the beginning. So I'm going to say 2.
The answer is 2.
There you
2
go.
offensive rebounds in the first half. Auburn had 17 defensive rebounds off of those 19 misses.
How about Auburn gave up 9 second chance points on 8 offensive rebounds in this game. Like, that's crazy.
That is, I mean,
and Arkansas's got the length. They've got the length to make stuff happen as a rebounding team. They got Trayvon Brazile and Nick Pringle and Malik. I thought I was really impressed. Malik Ewan. How about this? Malik Ewan had 13 and 12. Every other player that played for Arkansas combined for 16 rebounds in this one. Malik Ewan was the only one who brought the rebounding to that game. Brazile had 5. Everybody else just not even factors on the glass.
There were 4 different Auburn players who had 4 first half rebounds, and Elijah Freeman had 3.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was. This
is gang rebounding, man.
It was sending several guys out there, boxing out to set your teammate up with a rebound, because I think that happens with Jovic a couple times where it's like
there's tap outs. Sway's really good at doing those tap out rebounds.
I think that's something that. Especially for that, and that's it tells me it was prioritized on the recruiting trail.
Yeah,
it's prioritized. I don't go to practice like you do, but I get the feeling it's something that they emphasize in practice, and it's one of those things. Bruce talked about it, and Steven talks about it. That's one of the things where you can make the personal choice, right? Like you're gonna go influence the game by rebounding as hard as you can, and when you see enough guys do it, that's what it can look like.
It's obviously a lot easier to rebound when you're bigger. But there is a lot that you can control about your effort and your energy and your focus and your mentality rebounding the ball that can overcome it. How about this? In SEC play, it's only 3 games so far, but in SEC play, Auburn leads the SEC in offensive rebounding and they're 3rd in defensive rebounding by percentage. It's just good old-fashioned just working on the boards. And it's winning 50-50 balls. And it's winning balls where it's like, yeah, they probably got this one. No, heck no. Let's go. They got to go get it. They got to go prove it. And that's so big for this team, because when your guards are rebounding down, Kevin Overton and Tahaad Pettiford both had 4 rebounds each. Elijah Freeman swooped down with 6. Sway had 5 at the 4. Philip Jovic had 4 as well. But how about this, man? Big Murph, first double-double at Auburn, 16 and 10. Popped a couple of nice threes. There's a pick and pop 3 at the top of the key in the second half, which was a message of, oh, Arkansas, did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that first half, as you're going to get 20 more minutes of it?
Yeah.
That was a really big tone setter. But, like, Murph is, I'm telling you, if he can just stay healthy, this is the type of player he is. He is a rim difference maker. He rebounds the ball really well. He's got some good moves. He can stretch the floor. He's athletic to get out in space. He can move his feet. But that's the other thing, too. Auburn's not being a good rebounding team by just being huge, obviously, and just playing power ball down there. They're having a scrap. They're having a hustle. They're having a fight. They're having a claw. And that's what the mentality of this team's got to be. And then when your bigs are hanging in there like that, it just means so much for this team. Real quick, we talked about the rebounding. Auburn +9 in rebounding in this game. +9 in second chance points. I mean, corralled a ton of defensive boards. Also, Auburn 20 of 29 at the rim in this game. 7 dunks. Arkansas was 11 of 20. Only 3 dunks all game. So it was a complete reversal. Because remember that Georgia game? It was Georgia dominates the paint and Auburn doesn't. A&M got a lot of good going in the paint, especially in that second half when they made that comeback, because they were getting to the rim. Auburn was walling up at the rim, making sure that Arkansas had the toughest time. Like, they weren't going to get to the free throw line a ton. They weren't going to get easy layups. They weren't going to get open lanes. And then when that ball went up, it was go get it. Go get it. And in this one, there's some times like Auburn wanted to get out and run, and they do successfully on a few possessions. But this was a game where you could tell, okay, we might have a little bit of a depth advantage here. So when Carter Knox goes out specifically, and they have to play Isaiah Seeley there in the second half, that Auburn team did a really good job of saying, okay, get the rebound and be careful. Work the ball up the floor. Run some good half-court offense. It all kind of blends in because if you start leaking out too early, the ball goes up and you feel like I can cherry pick or I can get out and ahead of the like. There's advantages to doing that from time to time, and Auburn did that on occasion. But this wasn't a team that was selling out for turnovers to go out and run. This was a team that was everybody go get the ball. Let's control it. Let's help each other out. Let's get it up the floor. Let's take care of it. And it's like it all feeds on each other. It's the great thing about basketball is that it all feeds on each other. Great offense leads to great defense usually and vice versa. And you saw that in this game because I think Auburn, because they were so focused on in this possession, all right, now let's go take care of business on offense. Let's not get in a hurry and do all that. Like it plays well because they didn't want to get in a track meet with Arkansas, but they also knew that they could probably start to grind them down a little bit in the second half, and they definitely did.
What does it do to a team in your experience when you get the realization it's like, oh, we're not going to get any rebounds. We have to hit you have to hit
a ton of jumpers.
Yeah, you have to hit the first shot. You have to, and I think you start reconsidering which looks to take, and you start to see panic, I think, in an offense, and you start to see maybe a little bit of selfishness, a little bit of guys, willing to take ill-advised shots. And yeah, I think that all stems from, I mean, obviously the rebounding effort too, but a lot of that stems from you took them out of their game by just deciding you're going to control the boards.
Yeah, no, yeah, it really, that's an area where you can take the will out of a team. And I think Cal said it afterwards. He's like, we're getting beat by double digits at the half in the rebounds. He's like, you can't win. Can't win doing that. Can't win playing that way. And that's very apparent in this game. Yeah, you go take the will out of like hitting shots is cool. And boy, did Auburn hit some shots in the second half. Their offense was humming, but it's the rebounding, and the defense that carries it. And it's just it was a special time. All right, number 4, we'll wrap up here. I'll say it again. I just kind of want to hit on some things that we've talked about throughout this, but kind of make it more of a focus point. This Auburn offense is awesome. This is start talking about this offense with the proper respect that it should get. They're number 9 in the. I said it. We're number 1 by a long shot in the SEC right now. They're number 9. Yes, there are times where it gets ISO heavy and it gets it can get into a grind. And it feels like guys are dribbling too much or going. Even Elijah Freeman in this game, Stephen Pearl said afterwards, felt like he was going side to side too much. Hey, get downhill. You're a freak athlete. Go get it. But when Auburn's passing like they are, and we said it earlier with Tahaad and Key both assisting the way they did, it just changes everything. I mean, this game for Auburn, 20 assists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different guys had an assist in this game. 4 of them, multiple assists. Their assist-to-turnover ratio is 2 to 1. When you play this kind of connected team basketball like this, it can go along because they have so many weapons. And yes, this is a game where Keyshawn Hall scores 32, right? And this is a game where Tahaad Pettiford only scores 8. Tahaad's 0 of 4 from deep. He's not shooting the 3 very well this season by percentage. That's just the case. I'll say this, Dan, like how many times do you see Tahaad Pettiford take shots and you're like, oh, that's not a good shot? Not very many. It's just not falling for him right now. But the good news is you got your center going 2 for 3. You got Elijah Freeman. Elijah Freeman goes 2 for 3 from deep, Dan. I'll say this. It started the Chattanooga game, and it's continued. You were seeing Elijah Freeman catch and shoot with all the confidence in the world. And it's not like, oh, I need to think about it. Could I go downhill? It's like, no, man, I'm a good shooter. Give me the ball, and he's confidently rising up and hitting it. That's big. Kevin Overton.
That's so great to see with a guy like with that kind of athleticism too. Because if you have to start defending him like a catch and shoot player, like a real honest to goodness catch and shoot player, he's still Elijah Freeman, and he can still make one move and take one step seemingly.
Yep.
and launch himself at the basket.
How about this? Tahaad Pettiford 0 of 4 from deep, right? In this game. Kevin Overton 1 of 5 from deep and 3 of 8 from the field. Sebastian Williams-Adams, only 6 points, misses all of his free throws. That's something he's still got to continue to work on. All those things I just said, right? Auburn still scored 95 points. And went 10 of 22 from deep, 45%. This was
adjusting your free throws has to be kind of like with a baseball player when you tinker with your swing.
And he works on it a ton. And I think there's some mental thing there. And look, he's a very thoughtful kid, a kid who takes his craft very, very seriously. I mean, you had that one-on-one interview with him a month ago. You can go check that out at the Observer if you haven't read it. Like, he's working really, really hard on it. It is just not like it's just not happening for him. But like that's the thing is like
ocean waves, Sway. Ocean waves. Yeah. Don't go dark on us.
But but look, Dan. Like, I don't know, man. Like, this was the most anybody has scored on Arkansas this year in terms of efficiency. They're the best anybody's played in terms of efficiency, best effective field goal percentage, all that good stuff. Auburn left meat on the bone out there on offense, and they still scored 95. And Arkansas is not a murderer's row of talent on defense. They are much more an offensive team than they are a defensive team. But like, man, I don't know. I'm looking at that team and thinking there's a handful of defenses in this league that aren't as good as Arkansas or don't have the talent of Arkansas for sure. It's just when you see connected team basketball like this and the ball movements going, there's so many weapons, right? Because I just mentioned all of those, like, this guy didn't hit shots, this guy didn't hit shots, this guy didn't hit shots in this game. But what else did you get? There's 3 or 4 guys who did. And that's all you need sometimes, right? Of course, Key carries a huge load of that. But, I mean, you get 16 from Murph, you get 13 from Elijah Freeman, and you still get, like, contributions from others. Blake Muschalek, knocks down a 3 on a nice catch and shoot off of a key assist. No Kaden Magwood in this game. Very similar to the explanation given for Tahaad Pettiford, and it was just disciplinary stuff. Got to show up on time.
Yeah, he mentioned something that I think if folks are wondering what's going on, the fact that Stephen was willing to come out and say there is a lateness epidemic on the team, and if you're a starter and you're late, you may miss some starts, and if you're a rotation piece and you're late, it may cost you.
I'll say that
some playing, because playing time is really, especially in this era, with players
means a ton. Getting a DNP right now is no fun
in this era of player movement.
Yeah,
the one. And folks say, well, can you coach them hard anymore? It's like the one thing you can do is you can say you're not going to play.
I'll say this, and again, I don't think I'd get in trouble for saying this. Sorry if I do. The not being late and stuff like that. This is Stephen Pearl putting more of a stamp down on something, like drawing a line there. I will say in years past for Auburn, that has been an issue at times, and it hasn't led to guys losing playing time. But with a new roster, new head coach and all that, I think we're seeing more of it's going to be different. It needs to be different moving forward. And I think with a new team that doesn't have the continuity and the experience and all that, it's a good time to hit that reset button in that. And so we'll see. But for Blake, I mean, had a better game. Like there have been some runs this season for Blake where he's gotten out there against high major teams and it has not looked good. And but in this one, 10 minutes plus 8, did a good job. Didn't turn the ball over. Fouls. He just knows that he's got hey man, I'll go foul. And I think there were a couple of his fouls where the guy misses the free throw, so they were good fouls.
He got 5 of them. right? I mean,
You got 5 of them.
So how about this? To your point about Auburn's offense being awesome, it did make me wonder, kind of like on the same point with Keyshawn and Janai Broome. I was like, well, how many times did Auburn last year get to 95 in an SEC game? Because you have now in 3 SEC games, Auburn has scored 95 in 2 of them, at least 95 in 2 of them. Last year's Auburn team scored 106 against Ole Miss at home and scored 98 at home against Oklahoma. And as far as I can tell, those are the 2 games where they got to at least 95. The year before, they scored 101 at Missouri, scored 97 at Georgia, scored 101 against South Carolina, scored 99 against Alabama. But it's still,
and it's obvious why. I mean, you play through Janai Broome, you were playing a slower brand of basketball, you were better on defense. Like you're a lot better on defense. So
style of play, yeah.
Style of play is different, but also it's just like, if you're not going to have those advantages on defense anymore, go put the thing in the basket, and they do it. They do it.
And,
really
and
well.
Auburn's offense was not. I mean, the last 2 years, right? Auburn's offense was sensational, right? And so it's
a different kind of sensational,
different kind, but no,
much more of efficiency than volume. I think Auburn's combining higher volume with still really, really good efficiency.
Yeah, and it's
fun. And they didn't even go fast in this game.
And
they didn't even go as fast as they will against some of these teams. They're about to play. Henry Patton also pointed this out. They played 3 of the 25 fastest teams in the country to start SEC play. The next 3 teams they all play a very grind it down kind of style. Styles make fights. It's gonna be interesting to see if Auburn can kind of get out and run on some of these teams. Like they probably didn't get to do as much of, in these last 3.
And to see Auburn's offense do what it's done in 3 SEC games, considering that it's still a lot of new pieces, and you're gonna there's reason to believe this could trend upward as the season goes on offensively. When guys like, because you think about Tahaad and Keyshawn Hall are still learning the tendencies of their teammates and where the ball needs to be and where they like to get their shots from. So yeah, I'm really optimistic about where this thing could go, especially on that side of the ball.
So we're recording this on Sunday. Real quick, let's talk Missouri. We don't have a full breakdown of it yet because we haven't done the pregame press conference. I haven't done all the notes. That game's not till Wednesday, but we won't have another podcast until after that game. So let's talk Missouri real quick.
Missouri might have jumped into the top 25 if they'd beaten Ole Miss.
Yeah.
After wins against Florida and Kentucky.
Very interesting Missouri team this season for a number of reasons. They were preseason top 30. And they were the most experienced. I think they were the most experienced team coming back in the SEC. Top 100 minutes continuity overall, 30th in D1 experience. They played a pretty easy November. Minnesota was really the only team they played that had a pulse that they played against. Their non-con schedule was 350th on Ken Pom. In December, they lose to Notre Dame on the road. That's not a very good Notre Dame team. They get blown out by Kansas in that rivalry game by 20. Beat a couple paycheck opponents, and then get beaten by 43 against Illinois. Illinois is great. Great team this year. So they had gone from 29th on Ken Pom to 65th in the matter of a month. But they have started to climb back. They beat Florida at home to start off SEC play, 76-74. They were down 8 early in that game, rallied back and did well. Did a really good job of limiting what Florida could do offensively in that one. They go and beat Kentucky in Rupp. Big win there for them. Again, they took advantage of their strengths, especially on the inside, really got after Kentucky in that area. Then Saturday, they lose to Ole Miss on the road. That was an Ole Miss team that had lost its first 2 SEC games to Oklahoma and Arkansas. They lose this one.
Can't imagine what the practices were like, because that Ole Miss effort against Arkansas was not all that inspiring.
No.
Right? And it's like you have a must-win home game and a couple of days of practice, and Ole Miss looked like a team that knew it was hellfire and brimstone if they lost at home to Missouri. Like it was a game they had to have.
Ole Miss winning that game by 7.
There was a little bit of that going around the league on Saturday. It was a home game you could not afford to lose.
Ole Miss winning that game by 7. When you look at why Ole Miss won that game by 7, the first thing that jumps out to me is turnovers. Missouri had 13 turnovers in that game. Ole Miss only had 7. Missouri's 245th in the country in turnover rate this season. Not great. They get loose with the ball. They're big as heck, man. They are the 7th tallest team in college basketball. They rebound the ball decently. They are not a great offensive rebounding team so far in SEC play, like towards the bottom of the league, but they're huge. Their starting lineup: 6'9" Mark Mitchell, 6'3" Anthony Robinson at guard, so they've got a big guard playing there. Sean Phillips is a 7-footer they got from Arizona State. He's starting in the lineup. Jacob Cruz is a great shooter at 6'8", one of the best shooters in the country. Javon Porter has been out recently, but he's 6'11". He's usually starting if he's healthy. Sebastian Mack was out for these last couple games. So Missouri has been dealing with some injuries. But another big guard at 6'3". It's a big team. Big team. And they play through that. They are 13th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage. They have some good 3-point shooters in the fact that, Cruz is one of the best in the country, but they don't shoot a ton of threes. They lean hard on their inside game. The fact they shoot 60% from 2 and it's very close range stuff is great. But they are prone to turning the ball over, right? It hurt them last night against Ole Miss. Meanwhile, they are one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. 334th in shooting free throws. So, by the way, Auburn's 168th. So as much weeping and gnashing of teeth as there been about Auburn's free throws, and obviously it's been a big factor in some games, Missouri's a lot worse. So for Auburn, I think in this game, Dan, like you're going to play a big team that wants to pound the ball inside on you. You just got to stick to your guns, and if you foul them, it's better than giving them a free 2. So it's like be a team that continue like the stuff they did against Arkansas that was so good. Walling up, bumping, rebounding, being physical. You got to bring that. You got to bring that in that game. And you can't get your defense can't get too sucked in on the inside because Cruz is going to be floating out there and he's shooting nearly 50% from deep. He's insane. He was the guy who was so good for him last year. Defensively, boy, they will give up some triples. They are 305th in the country in 3-point defense and 327th in 3-point rate, which means teams are looking at that size and saying, no, thank you. We would like to shoot from the outside. And they've done a really, really good job of that. Tougher to get this team in foul trouble. Tougher to get this team, tougher to score on the inside against this team. They're 32nd in the country in 2-point defense. If Auburn brings their shooting aim to Columbia on Wednesday night and plays hard on defense, hangs tough down low, I think they've got a shot in this one. But there is a clear, this is how you hang with Missouri. This is how you beat Missouri. You just got to go out and do it.
Missouri's held teams to, the last 3 teams that played Missouri, Florida scored 74, Kentucky scored 68, Ole Miss scored 76. Like something's got to give as far as the style of play Auburn wants to utilize and the kind of game Auburn wants to play versus what Missouri would like to do. And I wonder if that's like,
I would like to point out one thing real quick, just real quick. That's right. Their defense has been pretty good. I will point out Auburn is a top 10 offense in KenPom. Mm-hmm. The only top 10 offense on KenPom that Missouri has played all year was Illinois, and Illinois got 91 on them.
And that's where if it's how much of it is a construct of the teams Missouri has played, and can Missouri, because it would be a real feather in the cap for Missouri if they can make the Auburn offense look sort of pedestrian like those other teams. If you can hold Auburn to 35 or so per half. Yep. That would be, that probably gives
Illinois and Florida. Florida only lost by 2 in that game. Illinois and Florida both rebound the snot out of the ball on the offensive glass. That's something Auburn does a really, really good job of. Like I said, so far this season, Missouri not early in SEC play, teams have been able to hold Missouri off the boards, but they played some big teams. Florida and Kentucky are both very large.
You would think that Auburn, if they can get flowing offensively, and if Auburn can break the
103rd in defense on KenPom. Auburn's a step up from that.
If Auburn can break through to 85, 90 point plateau, it's like I think Missouri's going to find themselves like if Missouri can hang with Auburn in that kind of game, then we're back to having concerns about the Auburn defense, right? If you're talking about a situation where it's like, yeah, Missouri's going to score 85 or 90 plus on this team, and so
team's been able to move the ball and hit threes against Missouri this season. It's been harder to get downhill on them and score. Auburn's got to bring that. You just got to hit shots. Got to hit shots away from home and hold your own down low. You have an opportunity, because if it comes to just purely shooting the ball, Auburn should have an advantage in this one.
Yeah, Missouri would seem to be.
I love Mark Mitchell.
And like you said, styles make fights, but like with Missouri, I don't know if they are as adept offensively as the last couple of teams Auburn has seen.
No,
right. So it's like they need to
47th in KenPom on offense in SEC play alone, 13th out of 16 teams. So they've won, but they have not done it with offense. They've had to do it with really good interior defense and other teams not being able to knock down shots on them.
So they either need an offensive breakthrough or they need to find a way to slow this game down to where they can win with 75 points.
And they'll play a little bit quicker on offense, but I think that's kind of partially due to – I think those numbers are a little skewed by the fact that they played a lot of bad teams and they could just get whatever they wanted in non-con. Early in SEC play, they do play a much more methodical pace. 15th out of 16 SEC teams. So slower pace teams, they want that. So if Auburn can – what's the big one there? Remember I go back to? They turn the ball over a lot. 245th in turnover rate, 13th out of 16 SEC teams right now. If Auburn can get some steals and get out and go. Because they're big. They're big. Big teams are usually slower teams. They want to play that way. Auburn's got to take advantage of that. But there's some clear exploits in this one. But it starts at do not let Missouri own the paint, because that's what they want to do, and they're really, really good at it. All right, let us move on from basketball to football. Dan, big stuff for Auburn football since the last time we spoke. I think the last time we did a podcast, Keyshawn Singleton had not signed yet. I think I'm right in saying that. The podcasts are starting to run together.
Yes, I think that's right.
Keyshawn Singleton is at Auburn, meaning the top four of USF's top five receivers, four of the USF's top five receivers, I should say, are in for Auburn. They were the four guys who could play. I think the odd man out was a senior who couldn't return. So you get a really, really big time pickup in Keyshawn Singleton. Dan, I'm fascinated to see how much Auburn is going to be able to find some early success next season on the heels of having pretty much an entire passing game just uploaded from USF to here. You would think the continuity would help a ton. You know, we talk about like in the offseason where it's like they have to throw with one another and kind of learn. There's going to be some of that you're going to have to do, and obviously it's a new environment and a new team. But Byron Brown's not going to have to learn these dudes. Like he knows pretty much all of them who are going to be catching passes, at least the five that are here from USF.
And I sort of understand there is a question, and it probably won't be answered until the season, as far as like, well, how are these guys going to do against SEC competition week in and week out? And it's like I'm not in any position. I'm not in any position to give you a concrete answer about that. And I would be skeptical of anybody who says they do know like how it's going to go. But I mean,
it can go either way, right? You know, I think Indiana is going to be the ultimate like god tier example of, well, if you just have familiarity and are coached right, you can just kind of hang there and do and be elite, and obviously they are. I look at Vandy too. I look at Vandy as a team that like plugged in an offense from New Mexico State and it was like, all right, it worked. You know, they weren't loaded with blue chip talent there.
And we've seen it work. Like we've seen. I mean, I guess this is sort of the Cam Ward, John Mateer thing, right? Where it's like we've seen FCS offenses come up to the mid-major level and recreate a lot of the success. And so it's like it's not as though just because something worked at one level doesn't mean it can't work moving things up. And you can probably I am optimistic about
Mateer came from Wazoo.
right.
Ward came from Incarnate Word to Wazoo to Miami.
And we'd seen a couple of quarterbacks from, we'd seen the Incarnate Word sort of deal. No, but I just think like with receiver, like the Vanderbilt example is probably the most germane one, because like you look and that's Diego Pavia and some targets of his coming
and
with
his
him,
offensive coordinator
and his offensive coordinator,
his head coach,
and so even because we've seen good mid-major receivers who make the jump to major conference college football and struggle to find a place, but they're also having to learn a new quarterback and usually learn a new system. And for these guys, I would think that while jumping from USF to the SEC is going to be a challenge, and the
definitely
level
is. The schedule's tough.
The schedule's
really
tough. The level of quality, the quality of defensive back that you're going to face is considerably better on a week-to-week basis than what you faced last year. But I would think that the advantage of coming with a quarterback that already knows you and having chemistry with your signal caller, like that's got to be gigantic for a receiver trying to make that jump to major conference ball.
Yeah, this is a really interesting case study of talent level, star ranking, all that versus can the familiarity, the chemistry, the coaching, the system, all that, can that overcome some of what we consider to be the talent gap, right? Because I think teams like Indiana and Vanderbilt, and there are other examples. I mean, I think Virginia's a pretty good example of what they were able to do in the ACC this year. And there are others, of not having a blue chip studded offense or team, but able to get success against those kind of teams because of what you had, with your coaching staff and all that, like what you've been able to develop, the intangible kind of stuff. Again, Indiana is going to be the forever extreme example of that, and you shouldn't compare a ton to it, but I think it's an interesting, like Auburn didn't need to be Indiana. They'd like to be a little bit more like Vanderbilt these last few years, honestly, on offense. But how about this, Dan? We'll see about wide receiver. Because you lose Cam Coleman, by the way, going to Texas. Thought that was always going to be the move for him, and he made his rounds.
I never bought
Singleton going to Florida is interesting though.
I never bought and following his receiver coach.
That one made sense. I guess his NFL market is not what they thought it might have been.
With Cam Coleman, I never bought Texas Tech for a second. I
never bought Alabama.
I thought that Bama and Georgia, if he wanted to stay local,
he never even looked at Georgia.
I know. I thought as soon as he went in the portal, I thought maybe Bama and Georgia, just because I think
Georgia's whole MO there now is just we don't need wide receivers. Their entire history as a program is we'll just find somebody.
Yeah. Although I do wonder if you'd pulled Gunnar Stockton on that specific issue, how he would have felt about.
But Texas always made the most sense to me because Texas is going to spend like mad to be a title team next year. Because they fell short this year.
It's got to work.
They were preseason number one. They had all this hype. They had Arch. And now they got to get. Not only do they do that, they go flip Hollywood Smothers from Alabama to Texas from NC State.
And if Texas had not gotten Cam Coleman, one would think that Texas A&M would have been one of the other.
Yes, I think that was number two. I think that was
two.
Yeah.
And so for Texas, not only do you land Cam Coleman,
but
Texas A&M does not land. And so you've
I've
already sort of relished the idea that what was one of the greatest A&M seasons ever ends with a loss to Texas and then a loss in a playoff game, and it's sort of over. Like Texas already enjoying sort of that, and you get to.
I think A&M's gonna be fine.
Oh yeah,
but that's definitely got to stink. But my point was Cam Coleman, no Eric Singleton, obviously no Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, and all that. Instead, you're plugging in a bunch of guys making the step up in the same system. It's a wait and see thing for me. Obviously, the star power is on one end. There's a lot that goes into wide receiver play and production that is not just about the wide receivers. That one's we'll see. But, Dan, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Auburn is better at quarterback and now running back than they were last season. In the transfer portal, what they have added, they are definitely better at quarterback. They are definitely better at running back. And I'll say they're definitely better at quarterback because you are getting one of the top 10, top 5 quarterbacks in the country in this past season who knows this system. Again, we will see how he does jumping up to the SEC, but that is proven production, and it is not what they did last year where it was Jackson Arnold and to an extent Ashton Daniels, which was it didn't really work out for them in their last spots with their talented guys, and like we'll see if we can fix them, like if we can see him be the difference maker. And then of course Deuce being. Let's go back to Deuce. Yeah. And he's going to Ole Miss, and we'll see. I mean, I still think he's got a long way to go before he can be a starting quarterback in the SEC this upcoming season. But what was the thing about Deuce coming out of high school? He's not the 5-star ready-made product. He is the guy who's going to take some time. Now you go from that to here's a guy who is going to be in the 4th year of the same system with the same coach, and he's got a lot of the same receivers, and he was one of the only 3,000, 1,000 quarterbacks we've seen in modern college football. And also, he is like tailor-made for what you want to do as a team next season. Like that is a clear upgrade. And now at running back now with the news of Bryson Washington.
So when it comes to quarterback, like, I mean, yeah, I think putting Byron Brown's production against like what anyone who was on Auburn's team last year, like what they had done before coming to Auburn, like, yeah, he's clearly coming off of more success, and he's playing for the coach that he's already started 32 games for. Like there's a lot to like about what Auburn has put together in the quarterback room with Byron Brown as the headliner. Last year, the thing that seems more and more vexing now when you look back on last season is keep in mind that it's not an unlimited pile of money, right? And so you are having to make decisions, presumably, about like, okay, well, we're going to go get this guy. We're not going to spend the money we need for this guy. We're not going to invest here. We're going to invest this money here. So if that's the reality, Auburn not only decided they were going to shop at the top of the market for Jackson Arnold at quarterback, because that's what presumably, because as a former 5-star and a guy that other major conference schools wanted, like Jackson
he was
Arnold,
the riskiest of the top. What was it, 10 or so?
Sure, but in that top 10 or 12, and probably compensated like one of those top 10 or 12 options in the transfer portal.
I don't want to go back and look at that now.
And you go get Deuce Knight, who was one of the 5-star quarterbacks, and like if you're going to already spend on Jackson, I think the idea of going and getting Deuce as sort of a luxury item backup quarterback project, instead of where you could have spent that money, be it at the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball or on anything else that could have benefited the team. It's just one of several spots where knowing that by spending the money there, you're not going to spend it at somewhere else. Like knowing that, like the decisions at quarterback and receiver last year are easier to question, because it's like, well, you could have.
Yeah, I think the story of this past season for Auburn, as now we have seen in the transfer portal where some of these guys have ended up, is like, man, you underachieved greatly. Like all these guys are going to SEC schools, right? Like it's not a case of guys, okay, they didn't really like dudes who weren't even playing for Auburn are going to SEC schools, right? And so it's just like, well, you had a lot of talent. Well, we knew you had a lot of talent, but why did that talent not produce? And what is it going to be different about this career that's going to produce? Real quick, let's take a quick trip down memory lane before we go to Bryson, because we need to talk about Bryson Washington. Here were the transfers. These were the 4-star transfer or 4 or 5-star transfer quarterbacks in this last year's portal class. I'm just going to run through them real quick. Okay. Ready? So I'm going to do it in order. Nico. Obviously, it didn't work out. He got better towards the end of the season at UCLA, but Nico obviously was the big name of it. And that was such a weird one because it was so late. Carson Beck.
Still playing
for a national title. John Mateer did not work out like they thought it was going to, but that was still a playoff team quarterback this year. Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner, still playing.
Heard of him.
JKS had a great season at Cal. Fantastic season at Cal. Okay. Luke Cromanhook going from Florida State to Mississippi State. I don't know how much he played because that's Kamario Taylor ends up being the guy at State this year.
Right.
Okay, so that's one where it's Darian Mensah. Great year, Duke. Led the ACC in passing this year.
Won the ACC championship.
Malik Murphy going from Duke to Oregon State. It was a very bad year for Oregon State. The less you want to say about that, the better probably for them. Connor Wegman goes from A&M to Houston. Houston had a pretty good year. Wegman had a really good year. Mark Gronkowski going from South Dakota State to Iowa. Pretty good year for Iowa's offense, all things considered. Miller Moss goes from SC to Louisville. Louisville, pretty good year for them. Bo Perbula goes from Penn State to Missouri. Was pretty successful there. Jackson Arnold goes from Oklahoma to Auburn. Didn't work out.
No.
Walker White goes from Auburn to Baylor. Didn't play. As we're recording this, Walker White's doing what I think more young quarterbacks should be willing to do. He's going down, and he's going down to FCS. He's going back home. He's going to play for Central Arkansas, which is a really good FCS program.
Yeah, I mean, and I was thinking
Air Nolan was the other one. Did not play. I don't think he was behind Lenore Sellers at South Carolina.
Yeah, and I said this, when Deuce was in the portal, that I hope if he's not staying at Auburn, if the thought of backing up Byron Brown and learning the Alex Golesh system and being the presumptive starter in 2027, if that's not appealing to him, I hope wherever he goes, he wins the starting job. I hope wherever he goes, he wins the starting job. Because if he were to go somewhere and get beaten out in 26 and spend another year not as the quarterback and spend it at a new school, then he could be starting at the school from the Water Boy in 2027. Like he could be the quarterback of the Mud Dogs, right? Like so yeah, I would say, and I said before, I'm like, find a Sun Belt. Looking at the timeline now, it's like find a Sun Belt school that needs a quarterback and play well and write your own ticket in 27.
Yeah.
Like that I thought would be, but it is a jump that some players don't want to do. Some players, like the trappings of major conference college football and the thought of moving down a level even for a season to show people that you are as advertised as a college football player does not always appeal to everyone. And for Deuce, the fact that Ole Miss is interested in his services, it's got to be tough to the thought of turning down Ole Miss to go play in Conference USA or go play in the Sun Belt. I could see why he would say no thanks. I'm gonna take the SEC offer. I hope it manifests as playing time. I hope he can take it.
It's interesting. Or it's like, Auburn shot to the top of the quarterback market, and it was like, kind of like not really, but obviously much different case and scenario this year.
You wanted to talk about Washington?
So
real quick, I do like the tackle additions too, because that was one of the
we'll get to them.
Yeah,
let's get to them as well. But I think they are definitively better at running back because now you're bringing back Jeremiah Cobb. Great move for him. Obviously, you're bringing in Davenport from USF, and now you're adding in Bryson Washington, who the last 2 seasons at Baylor. Bryson Washington ran for 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns. I was number 2 in the Big 12 in total yardage the last 2 seasons. Great player. I'm gonna do a bigger breakdown of him this week at the Observer because I really want to dig in. But this was one of the better running backs available in the portal.
Yep.
I was kind of iffy if Auburn was going to pull the trigger, especially after Jeremiah Cobb committed or said he was coming back for another season. It was like, okay, they probably will try to get another running back, but we'll see who it is. And they get the best running back they've brought in, for a visit so far. Heck of a pull, and a dude that has got a lot working for him as a running back. I think he is a fantastic pairing with what you've got already. But 6 foot, 216, can give a little bit more of power to that room, and Alex Golesh wants to run the ball and he wants to rotate his running backs. And Bryson Washington is as established of a high major running back as there is in the country right now.
And you need more than 2 in an era where college football players can, things can happen. But and without knowing all that much about Davenport, to be honest, the thought of a Cobb Washington 1-2 punch feels like you're in pretty good shape as an SEC team in 2026.
Yeah.
We saw Washington in person in the Auburn-Baylor game, and then we were keeping track of him, and he has 3 or 4 100-yard games in a row after Auburn. Plays great in the SMU game. He was
Arizona State too.
Yeah, he played great early in the season. It's like this is a guy.
I think he got hurt and banged up because his production tails off, his touches tail off, but he's still he does really well against Utah. It's just really, and is the 1,000-yard back of the previous year. So you've got a running back here.
And we came away from that game in Waco thinking Baylor's running backs could move too. Yeah, right. That they were throwing the ball a ton because Auburn had the advantage of the line of scrimmage.
But now you're in a spot if you're Auburn where, okay, you lose Darrell Robinson and obviously Damari Alston, and you replace him with Bryson Washington and a guy who already knows the system, was USF's number one running back. And you're bringing Jeremiah Cobb back for another year. And we'll see about the younger guys in the room, but I think it's a big step up. I was kind of surprised Auburn was able to get to the finish line with it, because I just didn't know if that was the way they were going to go with their assets. They wanted to get another running back, and to get probably their number one running back on the board that they brought in for a visit was absolutely huge. On top of that, but wait, there's more. Auburn's already added a couple interesting tight ends to the room in the Howard transfer and the USF transfer, and now here comes Jake Johnson, North Carolina transfer, who 16 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown this season. Didn't play as much the year before that, but when he was at A&M, he had 24 catches, 235, and 4 touchdowns as a sophomore. 6'6", 240, really good athlete. Got SEC experience, got really good high major experience. I think that's a heck of a pickup for Auburn.
And if we've talked about Jake before, Jake is Max's brother.
Yep.
And Brad's son, former Florida State quarterback Brad Johnson, Super Bowl champion for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was a quarterback when the Bucks won the Super Bowl against the Raiders in the early 2000s. I believe Mark Richt is related to that family as well. Like, I think Jake would be Brad's son, which makes him Mark Richt's nephew, I believe. And yeah, it's a guy that multiple schools have looked at and said, like, this is an option to start at tight end, and a guy. I think you're
definitely better at tight end now. And so again, we'll see about receiver, quarterback, running back. Yes, I think you're definitely better at tight end. Like, your offense, just on paper, is taking that step forward. Offensive line, to be interesting. They still got to get more guys.
One of the biggest questions when the portal opened, because it didn't feel like that's a position where you can talk about retention. I think you looked and you said, does Auburn have next year's tackles on the team right now? Like, if you retain everybody, are next year's tackles on the team? And you know, I mean, maybe Chaplin would have been in competition, but I don't know. Like, I think Auburn probably thought, you know what, the easier way to answer that question is no. Auburn needed to go find 2 guys that they thought could be starting tackles next year, and it sounds like, you know, it sure seems like Auburn has found those 2 players.
We talked about Stanton Ramil on the last podcast. Big Joe Simmons commits to Auburn. Good pickup here. This guy, he's only got 1 year of eligibility left, but he was the starting left tackle for a team that played the playoff this year. James Madison, who was as good of a mid-major as you find in college football this year.
You lose a Singleton, you add a Singleton. You lose a Simmons.
You add another Simmons.
Now, you're probably not going to be able to use much of Malcolm's gear for Joe, because Joe is a healthy offensive tackle. Like, Joe is, and a guy who held his own in Sunbelt play. Like, JMU was a wall at the line of scrimmage throughout most of league play this year, and the thought of getting someone who's part of that JMU offensive line to come. And look, I know the playoff game didn't go great, but it's like Texas Tech's playoff game against Oregon's defense didn't go great either, right? Like, let's not overreact.
JMU played a lot better than Texas Tech did.
Yeah, and it was in the playoff, right? Like, it was also in a playoff game.
Yeah.
No, I like wanted to see what Auburn has made big swings at tackle in the portal before. But I just get the sense with Alex Golish, there's more. There's a vision, and there's the idea that you know, he can evaluate which offensive linemen fit, and these 2 guys, on top of being, I mean, in the case of Stanton, you're talking about someone who gets the opportunity to come home and be closer, you know, be back in the Southeast, and then with Joe, you got someone who's making the jump to, you know, from the Sun Belt to the SEC, and we've seen. I mean, remember Osiris Torrance, who was the offensive lineman. Auburn recruited him, but he was the offensive lineman from Louisiana that followed Billy Napier to Florida and went in the first round. And he's a starter in the NFL right now. Yeah. And so it's like these things can happen in the Sun Belt. And I think with Joe Simmons, I'm excited. Now I guess we'll figure out who's the left and who's the right. Like they'll figure. I mean, but these seem like your 2 tackles.
Yep, seems like your 2 tackles. It feels like Auburn's got a chance to pull a couple of other USF guys up front. Cole Skinner and Cole Best are in the portal. guys who have started, guys who have played there. I would be
Those
surprised.
are just the ones named Cole.
Yeah, those are just the ones named Cole. The big dog is still Shabola from Ohio State, and he's making other visits elsewhere. I think people freaked out where he's like, oh, he left his visit without signing, Auburn's doomed. And it's like, well, he also left his visit to, I think it was Ole Miss and didn't sign. I think he's at Kentucky right now or something like that. So it's like guys are doing a little bit more of the due diligence of going through several visits because there's only one portal window.
And I'm told the USF, whichever one of the Coles played center for USF, I know people.
That would be best.
And there's a belief that he could play guard if he wasn't
Skinner,
a center.
And Skinner could do
that.
And
if you told me between Cole Best, Cale Ellis, Ward, and Buster.
Skinner, if you get him too.
And maybe Skinner there too. But it's like if you told me that your two guards and center are,
and they're still hunting for Shabola, who would be one of the biggest guys that you could get in this whole cycle.
But when you were talking about like the thought of while you want to have the best offensive line you can, you'd love for a couple of those guys to have eligibility remaining. Like you don't want to.
Ramil has one more year left at tackle, or 2 more years left at tackle. But yeah, you would want to kind of get. And then Ellis, 1 or 2 guys. Yeah, Ellis has several years.
Ellis and Buster and Ward are kids, so it's like the thought that instead of – and look, if the sacrifice of having the best possible offensive line is that it's 5 seniors and you have to figure out what to do after the season's over, maybe that's the price you pay.
They're not going to do that.
If you can avoid paying that price.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it and try to constantly –
You're not going to do that just in the case of the fact that you got Ramil, so – yeah, I like that. I like that pickup for sure. In Joe Simmons, and we'll see how they got to get more. Got to get more, and we'll continue to put. But again, it's like offensive line, star talent, blue chip talent might not be there as much, but it's kind of like wide receiver to me. It's like, does the familiarity and just coaching and system make up the difference? So a couple other pickups happened on defense. Andre Jordan, UCLA guy, Dan. Andre Jordan Jr. Coming in the corner. He was pretty good in big games for UCLA this past season. Honorable mention, all Big Ten corner. Looks like a top corner that Auburn could go get or could have. You obviously have some other guys who can play there, but that was a bigger name they wanted to get. There's just more depth they need to pick up there. Nate Johnson is interesting at edge rusher. He didn't play much at Missouri this past season. Was kind of buried on the depth chart. He was really good at App State. So I'm interested to see what it looks like if he has more of an opportunity at Auburn. They're still hunting there. And then I don't know how to pronounce his last name. St. Ferrier?
Okay.
I think the nose tackle, the 330-pounder that they picked up, also from App State. So they've got to get more bodies. They got to get more of of depth at some of these key positions, but there's a number of targets still out there. I think there's like 10, 15 targets that Auburn's still connected with. That'll be interesting. So we're recording this on Sunday. Monday starts a dead period in the portal window. I think people don't know about this. I think they're giving everybody a break, especially people who cover this thing. So shout out to guys like Christian Clemente who get to breathe for a little bit. But it is a quick dead period. I think it coincides with the coaching convention or of some kind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then it'll be right back at it. So you might not hear as much news here over the next few days.
AFCA is
and you get right back on it
this week, I think.
Yeah, you get right back on it. So, but yeah, it's that Bryce Washington pickup though.
We should do a show from AFCA like it's media days.
Yeah,
we're on Radio Row.
Good Lord,
AFCA.
But yeah, that Washington pickup is a that one. That's something that I think can really take this offensive potential to the next level.
And that's a move that I think, especially considering that after retaining Cobb, you wondered if it was a super urgent need, right? Because between Cobb and I mean, we still haven't. Do we know about? I mean, the fact that Omar and Alvin Henderson haven't said anything about the portal, right? Like one would think that at this stage in the game, like you're back.
You're getting close. You're getting close.
You're probably back. And so it's like with some promising young guys slated to return, and bringing in Davenport, it's like the thought that you could have two on top of that. You could have two guys that project as Power 4 starters at running back. Like that's a really healthy room full of both. Full of guys to be excited about in 26, and guys that could break through in 26 and be really important pieces.
And on top of
teams.
that, we know USF's offense in the past is Tennessee offense. They want to run the ball. It's at the heart of what they do. I know, by the way, all these running backs get to play next to the guy who was one of the best runners in the country this past season, regardless of position, in Byron Brown. It's a lot of fun. The potential is pretty high.
And the stuff you're trying to do with Byron Brown, like Cam Newton wasn't successful because he was the only running option on the team in 2010. Nick Marshall wasn't successful because he was the only running option. Oh,
absolutely not.
Right? Like, I mean, these things tend to work better when teams have to worry about the running mate. You know, when teams have to worry about the other guy in the backfield, and Auburn's got some really good other guys that they can put next to Byron Brown.
All right, that'll do it. We'll be back later this week. Dan, you're off on an adventure.
Ooh, West Coast, baby.
Yeah, the West Coast of the Sun Belt.
The West Coast of the Sun Belt. Monroe, Louisiana. We're going there Tuesday for a game Wednesday. Big win for the Trojans on Saturday.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Oh, by the way, while we're recording this, Auburn women, after getting slammed by Texas earlier in the week, picks up first SEC win under Coach Larry Vickers. Big win over Florida.
Nice.
Won by double digits at home today. So
nice.
Good bounce back, because getting beat by 60 plus is about any, like, it's you burn the tape and you move on, but you never know how you really move on from that. Well, Auburn picking up a good SEC win there.
You've heard a couple of coaches say, you know what, that happened. Let's get on the bus and go home. Right? That was Calipari last night. That was. I mean, Stephen Pearl talked about wanting to go home and get to work after the A&M game. Right? And I mentioned that Troy played Arkansas State yesterday in women's basketball. Arkansas State had beaten Troy 3 times last year, including the Sun Belt tournament, and won the Sun Belt tournament last year to go to the NCAAs. They were 5-0 to start league play, and came to Troy feeling pretty good, and it was one-way traffic. It was
good.
Troy built
So
29-point lead. So
you're at Monroe.
We're at Monroe Wednesday night. We're at ULM in Fant Ewing Coliseum, the Roundhouse, and then Texas State for maybe the last time with the Bobcats.
Because they're going to the Pac-12.
With the Bobcats, part of the new Pac-12. Trojans are in San Marcos on.
My favorite
on Saturday.
Do you know my favorite thing that's about to happen that I think has gone underrated or just kind of overlooked and all that, of the conference realignments happening next year? So Texas State's going to the Pac-12, right? Louisiana Tech's taking Texas State's place
in La Tech,
in Conference USA.
No, in Sun Belt.
From Conference USA to the Sun Belt, right? So the Mountain West is like losing half their teams, but they had to get to 8, and they had 7 left over. Do you know who the 8th team in the Mountain West is? Do you remember this?
It's like UConn or something?
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. Yeah. All right.
The Mountain West. Northern Illinois.
That's
yeah.
Right. So, like the Lewis and Clark Conference, right? Yeah. Just like the vast Western United States that starts in Missouri.
So Dan is going out west. I'm going out west. I'll be in Mizzou this week for Auburn's home game. Road game. Sorry, at Mizzou Arena.
I do love the Texas State trip. San Marcos is a really cool city. They got a river running through campus. There's a big tubing. Community, like that's a very Texas thing too. It's their recreation is there.
Probably not right now.
And it's a college town with both In-N-Out and Whataburger. It's Texas Whataburger, which is important, and then also they've got an In-N-Out burger in town and a Torchy's. Right, I mean the big three of like, if you're gonna.
I've said I've cooled on Whataburger since it's changed.
Well, I think once it stopped being an exotic thing for us too, right? Like once it became a thing you can go to Tiger Town and get, it changes it changes it a little bit.
Torchies though, I'm with you there. So we will be back later this week, and we'll talk Mizzou. We'll look ahead to Auburn and South Carolina. We'll talk what else is going on for Auburn in the portal. Got a lot going on at the Observer as well on the newsletter side. Look for a film room-y kind of piece of some kind on a transfers. I was going back and forth between. I was going to do like Auburn's receivers that they gotten from USF, just kind of, hey, meet these receivers. And then the Bryson Washington thing happened, so I'm kind of compelled to do more Bryson Washington stuff. So that might be coming out. Look for that on Tuesday. You're listening to this on Monday. So, AuburnObserver.com. Keep track of everything there. Subscribe. $6 a month, $60 a year. Gets you access to everything. Also, shout out to our friends, the Auburn Torch, Justin Lee. Successful first week of the Torch. Auburn Gymnastics had a huge meet this weekend. You can read all about that at the Torch. And looking forward to doing some more stuff with Lee. He's obviously contributing at the Observer as well. So you can check all that out at auburntorch.com as well. That's it, Dan. This is probably like a 3-hour podcast. How do we want to wrap this up? We're already deep in it, so might as well go something.
We're deep in it. I would say that I've watched a lot of movies lately, and a lot of them I've talked about on the show before. I do one theory that I've formulated, Justin, is that I would say Robert De Niro made, like, if I would put De Niro's 90s filmography up against just about any actor. Like, Robert De Niro made so many amazing, and he look, and he was a 70s superstar and made several great movies in the 80s, but it's like that slate of Goodfellas and Cape Fear and Awakenings and Heat and Ronin and Casino and Jackie Brown, and I mean, it's just over and over and over. Wag the Dog is fantastic. So watch a Robert De Niro movie.
I'm going to read everything he's credited on.
Starting in 1990?
In 1990.
Start with 1990.
Stanley and Iris.
Okay.
Goodfellas. Awakenings.
Awakenings is so good. I mean, everyone knows Goodfellas is great, but Awakenings is fantastic.
Guilty by Suspicion.
Okay.
Backdraft.
Oh, Backdraft. I forgot. Yeah.
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear's oh, God, Cape Fear.
Mistress. Night in the City. Mad Dog and Glory.
Okay, yeah, Mad Dog and Glory.
This Boy's Life.
This Boy's Life.
A Bronx Tale.
Bronx Tale.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The Kenneth.
The Brano Frankenstein.
101 Nights. Casino. Heat. The Fan.
I believe Casino and Heat come out like within weeks of each other too in 1995. Like it's
yeah.
Crazy.
The Fan. Sleepers.
Oh, yeah, Sleepers.
Marvin's Room. Copland. Jackie Brown. Wag the Dog. Great Expectations. Ronin. Analyze This, and Flawless.
Yes. Incredible.
Those are his 90s. That's his 90s run.
And then he makes Meet the Parents in 2000.
Yep, Meet the Parents in 2000. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, bananas. Absolutely bananas what that guy was cranking out there. So, I mean, and there are just so many classics in different genres in that list of movies that Justin just rattled off. And so, yeah, if there's, just watching... And Ronin, I tweeted about recently. Ronin's free on YouTube right now, and it is a brilliant little thriller with twists and turns, and quite literal twists and turns, because it's got a couple of the best car chases you will ever see on film. So yeah, it's
and just as a shout out to my wife, she would mention, if we're talking Robert De Niro, because we talked about this the other day, she would want me to mention The Intern.
Sure, yeah, The Intern.
Which is a movie that we saw for some reason on HGTV the other night.
I thought you were going to shout out like Rocky and Bullwinkle or something, but it's like
I was gonna Machete.
Written by Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I believe was written by Kenneth Lonergan, who also did like the Casey Affleck Manchester by the Sea. He's like an Academy Award winning screenwriter and celebrated playwright. But no, so just that young up and coming actor. Some people may not be familiar with.
He's got what it takes.
I think he's got a future.